Welcome to KO 103, folks. Say, what do you think about the distance to that car in front of us? Is it about to make you throw up as much as it is with me?
Leck mich am Arsch.
Apparently some drivers seems to be looking forward to seeing me puke. Oh look, we've got some cool cyclists who even wave us past. If only he would do that when nobody would be there. I am not asking for a head-on crash, thank you very much. The cyclist I was coming past here a while ago got this done a lot better. That was a safe pass. Now transition please to the least safe way of passing others. Overtaking through heavy fog. You need to get your adrenaline from somewhere, right? And we see this next guy getting ready to fulfill his duty of overtaking trucks at all costs. He's lurking, and there he goes into the wall of fog approaching a corner. Right after this, passing restrictions are in place, but there is another truck in front of this one, and you know what has to happen, right?
Vor der Kurvennebel, Sperrfläche, scheiß drauf.
That's already crazy enough, but this can be ramped up quite a notch when instead of a car, a truck starts passing in heavy fog and in a blind corner. This is literally insane. Not to mention, this other truck goes by the speed limit for vehicles over 3.5 tons. So this insane dude adds speeding to his crazy list of offenses. Nice, we have a great view of the traffic light. I wasn't really talking about the one which is a mile away. There shouldn't be any chance for misconceptions in this case though. And there wasn't. The driver of this bubble car is having a habit of making his own rules. And when he does that enough times, he may turn back to being a pedestrian and endanger traffic in a whole different way. But it's more effective when you do that with a bunch of steel around you. The joy of pointlessly cutting corners. You know, I can totally understand that you want to lose as little speed as possible, and who cares about cutting corners when the road is clear? But when somebody is clearly coming head-on in this road, what's the deal with cutting anyway? It does nothing but risking a crash that they would be responsible for. But there is an opposite to cutting corners. Swerving to the outside like you are driving a freaking tank. Oh look, it's the blindest of all corners. Would somebody please show us what to do here? What a beautiful sight. Passing with way too little distance, seeing absolutely nothing, and badly cutting off oncoming traffic as a result. We are observing the master here. We got a marked crosswalk. In Germany, you have to stop your car there when it's clear a pedestrian wants to cross. Somebody should tell this guy.
This takes away discretionary spending from the economy. That's why we're saying...
Oh boy, talking about an organ donor. This guy's not only exceeding the speed limit by double, he's flying through cars at that speed. Something tells me he doesn't want to experience how life would be as a senior.
Because people don't have the money to do it.
What can happen when you want to quickly turn before oncoming traffic?
Entschuldigung. Ja, es tut mir leid, ich weiß.
You may miss the pedestrian light and almost run into somebody. Oh well, the camera driver was very aware of the fact that he messed up. But you know, every single one of us is making mistakes, there is no exception. The only question is, how do you handle it? While I consider myself a highly experienced driver, I did make mistakes and I am still making one every now and then. What matters is how you deal with that. Are you pretending it never happened, or are you taking a critical look at yourself, saving this incident to your long-time memory to hopefully not repeat the same mistake, becoming a better driver and a better person?
Shit.
But I am still ready to argue if passing in a blind corner is a mistake or very intentional driving. I am voting for intention. But our man here really got a flow of questionable drivers. This first pass here, maybe not the best one, but I consider this acceptable. This one here is quite a different level of ignorance. Passing over 2 turn lanes with oncoming traffic, this guy must be in serious need of a toilet. And our final hero, driving by the omnipresent rule of trucks must always be overtaken. Playing chicken with oncoming traffic, very bad driving. But you know who f***ed up even more than that? Me! It was exactly 2 years ago when I was on a long night trip over something like 500 kilometers. I was driving around on country roads, which I know very well, and this might have caused me to become careless. I got a truck in front of me, and while we were driving in a left bend, I couldn't even see how the road ahead was going. By knowing this road very well, I thought this would be the spot where it's becoming straight, and I started passing the truck while basically looking into the black void. Lo and behold, suddenly the shine of headlights appeared along this still going corner while I was on the left lane next to the truck. The truck was hitting the brakes. He and this other car were rightfully honking at me while I got back on the right lane at full throttle. I thought to myself, what the f did I just do? While the question rather transformed into, why did I do it? I was thinking about pulling over in sight of the truck to give him the ability to stop too and personally apologize to him. But this whole situation was so embarrassing that I kept going for 5 more minutes and then stopped somewhere else to think about this whole thing, imprint it deeply into my memory, and promise to myself to never again be so careless about passing. I sat there, looking at my dashcam and arguing to myself if I should save this footage. Sadly, I did not save it because I thought I would never want anybody to know that, and I regret not saving it. I do not want to become one of the way too many drivers who make bad mistakes on a daily basis but still think they are the best drivers on the planet. I did f*** up there and I am open about it. This will not be my last mistake, but hopefully one of only few to come. And this memory helps me not to repeat this exact same mistake, because that is the base for deadly accidents. And I would like you people to be honest about yourself too. I told you about one of my biggest mistakes on the road. What about if you tell me about yours in the comments? Being open about it is an important element to be critical with yourself, which is not only a very valuable asset concerning driving, but concerning being a person in general. Many people think they are the best human they could possibly be and close their eyes to the masses of shortcomings they might actually have. I used to be just such a person, and I was putting quite some effort into getting this sorted out. Because nobody likes people who will not admit to their mistakes. I hope I was not boring you to death, but rather inspire you to be more open about yourself, and especially being more open to yourself. At least one thing I never had and may never gonna have issues with is alcohol. I just don't like this stuff. But it may be the substance this cyclist here had some proper contact with. He's swerving all over the road and is doing weird things. At some point, our man wants to pass him. But as you saw, that was easier said than done. Our man thought that the cyclist was hitting his car, which is why he now wants to pull over. Turned out later, there was no touch, and now the cyclist gets back in front of us and greets us with the finger. Because he may have thought that the car driver wants to mess with him by outbraking him. As the camera keeps following him, he's swerving all over the place like crazy and greeting his buddy, the road sign. Our dude has seen enough and decides to call the cops, which I don't think is the worst idea. Some BMW isn't very patient about this whole scene and manages to pass our cycling master. The camera driver wants to try that again too, but rather holds back. Not the worst idea because the dude keeps maneuvering all over the place. A minute later, he's greeting his buddy the fence, who allegedly owes him money, and some oncoming driver gets freaked out too. Now we are passing his buddy the street lamp, and we are slowly approaching a roundabout, where bike and car will split ways. Not the most satisfying end of story, is it? Our man later saw cops coming head on, but he doesn't know if they got hold of the cyclist. If you ever experience such a thing, it would be better to stick to the perpetrator and lead the cops to him. Don't get me wrong, it's not about schadenfreude over some guy getting punished, but who knows how long this dude would keep cycling around like this and maybe running into some oncoming car at some point. Calling the cops on him is less of a protection of others, but protecting him from messing himself up, swerving around in between those fast-moving steel boxes. For our final clip, let's take a peek into the Netherlands, where this dude over there wants to take the exit. Or does he?
Yo!
This other driver messed up his mirror, but our man was lucky and didn't have a scratch. What are the odds? Supposedly far lower than the odds of you selecting another episode from this playlist on the screen, I suppose? I know you want to, you can't lie to me. Go ahead and we'll gather here again in a few days. Cheerio!